Greetings everyone, I am Sister Lulu and welcome to Armory. So we finally get to command, or should we say the Cannoness. Now, apart from named characters, only HQ that isn't a priest. And a pretty average priest at that. So, figured I'd just take the last of the shrink wrap off it. I'd just broken it before the video. So, first off, on the front we have her with the null rod and condemnal bolt gun. Not that she's painted up with darker skin tone, though many people have made a Samuel L. Jackson joke. We see her with some of the other options she has, the backpack power sword, the backpack chainsword sheath, which back when that was announced, I fell in love with the idea of it and still wanted to prop of this. Well, working out how to mount that properly and have it actually hold its integrity will be the fun part. How was it that you weather... There's a way of weathering foam to make it look like it's leather, and I'd have to do that, and then get hold of some leather-coloured spray paint. But yeah, I love the little cinches she's got on there. It's a shame the other backpack isn't designed. The other two backpacks, or one backpack, isn't designed with the same little rib designs on it. Oh well, these things happen. She also comes with a chainsword, a power sword, a blessed blade, plasma pistol, bolt pistol, inferno pistol, power, brazier of holy fire, or as I just call it, brazier mace. Like, honestly, burning torches need to be a thing for all Sisters of Battle ranks. Like all of for both the Sisters of Superior, the Cannoness, Celestians. Honestly though, we need a close combat Celestian squad. No transfers. That's interesting. No transfers. I was expecting transfers. Oh well, there's enough in the Battle Sister squad box. But like, look, we've got Order of Our Murdered Lady transfers on her robe, but we haven't got them in the kit. So we've got the paint scheme at the back, we've got the many pages of instructions. I'm still not sure how I'm going to build this up. Heck, until recently. So okay, so we have all the different pages of rules in various languages. That's good. The one problem I have with the Cannoness is it's such a limited option, such a limited amount of stuff in the kit. Now, don't get me wrong, what we get in here is pretty good, but like, can she take combi weapons other than the condemnal bolt gun? No, doesn't look like it. That's just daft, because like when the new codex came out we lost so many options that honestly GW should have just put in the kit. Things like the combi weapons, which ain't... The reason Space Marine Commanders half the time get them is because you can... Things like Thunderhammers don't come on the Space Marine Captain kit, but you can find Space Marine Captains that have them and you can make them. Same with Jump Pack Captains and so on. It's ridiculous. It's just daft. Like, we also lost the Stormbolter for Superiors, which is just sad, because, I mean, come on. It's a Stormbolter. Any other power, pretty much every other faction in 40k with power armor has either a Stormbolter or an equivalent of it. I mean, we still haven't got any kind of Terminator equivalent. I mean, that pendant ended close, though. I'm just going to move this over here to where there's a bit of a backdrop and take a bit of a look at the sprue. So, looking at the inside of it, we've got parts of the brazier. We've got the chainsword and backpack as one piece, which we expected. We've got the underside of the robes, we've got the underside of the boulder thing, we've got back half of her torso, we've got the leg, we've got both her torso types. Now I find it interesting that they designed it so that the torso, the little icon thing, actually hooks in to the torso on the armour, which is actually an interesting way of doing it. But then I do mine a bit differently. I'm looking at this from the perspective of someone who's made Sister of Battle cosplays, and I find it interesting that they've chosen to have the icon have the little neck piece that I'm fairly certain is a power distributor that that's connected to the armour and distribute power across the armour from the backpack, which is a power supply pack. Now, interestingly, the backpack actually has a slot on it, which, okay, so, pardon me, just putting some blue tack on there, that'll be relevant in a moment. So, the slot on the back is compatible with the icons that came with the Retributor Superior. As when I get it in there, will be demonstrated like that. But the slot is too wide for the icons from the back of the for the backpacks on the Seraphim, which is a bit of a shame. I would like for a bit more crossover, although with some creative cutting and kit bashing you could totally make it work. Just put a little bit of blue tack on there so as you can actually see the piece in question. If I can ever get it to come back into my fingers. But yeah. So yeah, like this will be rather neat to, that gives us a few options for conversion and so on. With some clever work you could actually use the parts from the Seraphim for making more interesting looking Cannonesses, like say primary order Cannoness and so on. I'll pull those parts to the side and let's take a look at the second sprue, which is probably the most useful one out of the two for weapons. So first off, we've got the null rod, we've got the bottom half of the condemned null bolt gun. Now this is why one of the reasons I'm a bit disappointed about the lack of options for combi weapons for Cannonesses, because look, that's the perfect mount for a combi weapon. But yeah, like, it's disappointing and honestly a little bit lazy. Don't get me wrong, the sculptors did an awesome job here, but the fact that the Cannoness doesn't have more options is a bit sad. Especially with the fact that there's so many parts that you can kit bash with, and GW are just trying to get rid of kit bashing, in all honesty. That's why they're just like, right, we're providing, what options we provide are the options you get. You can't conversion build anything else unless you're going to use Legends rules, which we're not going to update, and we're going to kill off eventually as well. So there are 4 head options here for the Cannoness. Also, as far as melee weapon options, there's, on top of the null rod and the brazier, there's a power sword, a chainsword, which I love the design of that chainsword, just with the actual details over the back of it is just awesome. And then there's the relic blade, or blessed blade. Like, it's a neat kit, but apart from the condemned or bolt gun, there isn't really actual option anymore for bolters. Now, I say that because the only time we actually had on the datasheet the option for them to have a bolt gun was before they updated the rules to actually be in line with the codex, with the limited edition model. Let's just look now. Yep. This model can be equipped with 1 bolt gun and 1 power sword instead of 1 bolt pistol and 1 chainsword. Yeah, no, we've lost the option for bolt gun due to an FAQ. And you probably can't see it because it's very thin text and my camera's not very good, plus the lighting's pretty awful. I mean, I've had worse lighting. But yeah, so this is going to be a rather interesting model to build. I will build this thing up into some form of sub-assembly. And yeah, so let's actually take a look at the faces if I can get them to show up on camera. We have face here, we have hooded face. Hooded sisters need to be more of prominent. We need, like, honestly, if we had a whole sprue of hooded heads, that'd be awesome. But that's because I like a certain piece of background art. We've got Cannoness with helmet, with wreath, with a laurel wreath around it, which could be considered as the visage, mantle of Ophelia. Honestly, I think it's still a bit too unceremonial. And we've got a Cannoness with a targeter on one of her eyes. So, interesting selection of heads. painting and priming these will be interesting. But yeah, we've certainly got a lot of interesting parts here. It's a shame how restrictive the options are actually, because you can't just go brazier, plasma pistol, and chainsword, or at least I don't think you can. Options are to have a brazier polyfire. Model must be equipped with a chainsword. Okay, so I can have a chainsword and that, but I can't do power sword and brazier. That's fair. Still annoying. And instead of one chainsword, I can do one power sword, one blessed blade, and one well, power sword, blessed blade, or that. We need axes. We need the Cannoness we need the power spear. We need the power spear to come back, as well as the power axe. Like, come on, they're classic 40k things. But, well, Tactical Marines got them on the sprue, we didn't. And that sums up a lot of things. We lost melter guns, we lost melter bombs with this codex, despite the fact that we're the most melter happy army in 40k. Like, seriously, we lost melter bombs? Like, why? Melter bombs were useful for everyone. The fact that we lost them is just pathetic, really. Also, while I think of it, one of the classic options, which we actually have rules for a relic for, but not the actual representation of on here, is the Book of St. Lucius. We don't have a model for it. I mean, to a degree. I mean, you can use the Book of St. We can use the book that comes with the what's it called? The Retributor Superior. Now I've got a bits bag here of parts I've put aside to use for a Junitheritia conversion build. So here's how the Cannoness is coming along now. I'm kind of just holding the turntable off a bit so as to stop it moving, but I've equipped her with the plasma pistol and relic sword, or blessed blade. Just don't like the look of the blessed blade, it just looks neat. Kind of gives me Joan of Arc from Fate vibes, but that's not surprising. I've equipped her with the armoured corset rather than the fabric one. I like the little side plate she has here, and that little band string that she has from her waistband. Now, she does have a little holster there that I didn't paint properly. Oh well. Buttons down the front there, and there's buttons down the back. The base itself I've painted up, I've sculpted, well, I actually compiled. I made it from leftovers from my Pennant engine bases, just so as to do both a little bit of recycling and tie her in with some of the army. Now I'm just manually turning around rather than letting the turntable do it. So on the backpack we have her with the little ring Crozius thing, or halo thing. Pardon the band-aid in the footage there, I got injured doing something else entirely. Now the robes I've done a little bit of work on to kind of add some variation to their colour, but not sure how well it shows up on camera. Now I've got her with the little laurel wreath on her helmet, just because that looked cool. Honestly, she's a commander. I want her to have a helmet. She doesn't need to see her shoulders like the limited edition model does. Limited edition model. That'll appear in a video later in the month. So in terms of, like, details wise, she's neat. Like, it's cool to see different styles of capes on the Sisters of Battle. Now, I chose to give this a plasma pistol because I like plasma pistols, even if Inferno pistols are technically better. But technically and to my tastes are different things entirely, as the fact that my armies keep losing her tests. Now, here is how she compares in terms of size to an old metal Cannoness. Now, she is much bigger, even with the more dynamic posing, she's still much bigger. Here is how she compares to the limited edition model. Now, she is about the same size. but her arm is a little less detailed, I think, in some ways. Here's her neck. Here's her with a old dialogus. Yeah, that's not going to work. Let's just hold that like that and bring her over. So we have her with Celestine kind of. I'm trying to pose Celestine in a way that puts them at about the same height, same level. Just got the wings come off because they're only blue tacked on at the moment. So yes, she is about the same size as Celestine, which is good. She is about the same size as the Dialogus too, which is good. Like, she is slightly taller due to her dynamic posing, which is a cool thing. Named Preacher out of Blackstone Fortress is about, seems to be about as tall as her, which is interesting. We have her with a Primaris, with a badly painted Primaris Marine. She is almost as tall as him. A dynamic Repentia. One day I'll do a video on the Repentia, but it requires me to actually find them all. Yeah, if I can get the blue tack off it. A Raging Heroes model. Yes, this model will be subject of a video at some point when I get it, when I finish the paint job. Sculpting quality is better though, and I've had. Unlike with the Raging Heroes model, I haven't had issue with mold release from the GW model, because it's not got any. But the GW model is kind of better proportions and better quality in my opinion. Now in terms of leftovers, there's the aforementioned pistols, and various other weapons. Now I find the choice for them to sculpt it so that the sleeve, so that the arm is essentially in half on the melee side, to be rather interesting. It's using the seam that they have rather well. Now, a question that may have come up is using the combi weapon, using the parts to make a combi weapon, and the problem is they've designed the combi weapon in such a way as to be completely incompatible. Which is kind of a shame, because this is just kind of a shame. Now I've got the other heads aside. I am probably going to be using that head on Celestine, because I'm converting Celestine to look like a Reaper. In case they didn't appear properly earlier, here is hopefully more visible. I say hopefully. And yes, I've got left the normal torso on there, which I might find a use for at some point. At the very least, it'll be useful to cut the I'll be able to cut the little pennant off the front there and use it for conversion. Stop rolling. But yes, in terms of the kit itself, it is a neat kit, but I'm not sure it justifies its retail price. To be fair, on GW, I don't think any of their Australian prices at the moment are pretty fair. Just, they're all a bit too expensive. But yes, might as well have the model spin around as I finish talking about it. So, this is a nice kit. I'm not a fan of how monopose all this stuff is these days. Like, it would be great if their stuff was more not monopose, for want of a better term. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts on the new Cannoness kit?